Hey guys, what's up? I'm back again with a little bit of a guide here, just saying my thoughts on what build to look for to play to start a new league in the new 3.1.0 Abyss and more for the Atlas League. So a few builds I played in basically in 3.0, a lot of the meta stuff is still going to be viable in the new league. You know, some of the Volpact builds may be hurt a little bit, but, you know, Volpact wasn't the only big builds out there. You know, there's builds like EK that were just fine. There were builds like Frostbolt that were just fine. Summoners were just fine. You know, Duelists and Slayers had some really good builds that didn't go even near Volpact. So I'm going to show you some of those now. And also go over to the forums and show you a few things to look for when looking for builds. So this build is a Cyclone build that I made in the 10-day Turmoil build. I wasn't able to get a 6-link. I do have a Combs Primacy, which isn't recommended. I was trying to get this Hesmena's Bloodlust 6-link, but I couldn't. I did get a Combs Heart, though. I chose that because I had plenty of damage, so I chose to get the Combs Heart over a 6-link. But yeah, this is a Cyclone build. It's fast, it's tanky. Actually, it doesn't even need to be tanky because everything just dies. The only thing with this that I need to caution on is the Ruthless support is not going to work with Cyclone anymore. Which is kind of weird. I think it was great to be used with Cyclone, but apparently it's not going to be, so... but still, this should still be a great build, a Cyclone build for that. There's tons of Cyclone builds. I'm not going to try to, like, you know, reinvent the wheel here. There's tons of Cyclone builds on the forum that are still going to be good and viable. Slayer is going to be really good this league still. As you can see, I'm not even near Volpact with this build. You have... The thing is like, this is a build that performs really well with Life Leech, and not Insta Leech, just regular Life Leech, right? So what I was going to do was come down here and grab this skill, which is getting a little nerf. We do have this skill as well, Vitality Void, which is getting a little nerf. It's going to be 3% max life per second, which is still fine. You get this, and you actually get 20% increased damage while leeching. In the Slayer, we get this Endless Hunger, which your life leech effects are not removed at full life. So basically you just keep on leeching and you'll still get this 20% increased damage. And then I was going to come and get Crimson Dance, because this is a little bit of a bleed build. I have a lot of items that give me bleed. I have pretty much 100% bleed, chance to bleed enemies anyway. The Belt of the Deceiver we saw is getting a nerf. But Cyclone is an attack skill, so it's still going to work with Cyclone. So yeah. This is a great build. Any Cyclone build is really fun to play. And Slayer for any build. When you go to the forums, just look for builds under Slayer, and I'll show you a little more about that in a bit. I'll show you another character that I played and really liked. Now these characters I put very minimal investment in. I played them less than probably a few days each. As you can see, they're not super high level or anything. But I was just testing out to get ready for the next league, because I really didn't play Harbinger League that much. But I'm gonna, like I said before in other videos, I'm going to hit Path of Exile super hard this league. So this was a great build I saw from Ziggy D. This uses Scorching Ray, and it also uses Righteous Fire. I pressed the wrong button. Also uses Righteous Fire, which people are complaining about, that the Rise of the Phoenix is going down to 5 maximum fire resist from 8. To me that's not a big deal, because before I got my Rise of the Phoenix shield I was doing just fine. I had no troubles keeping RF up. And Scorching Ray by itself does really good. I kind of call this build the Windshield Washer, or Windshield Wiper. after the Archon build in D3 that I used to play back in the day, because literally you just shield charge and you get a big enough mob and you just wipe them right off of your screen. It's really fun. Really fun build to play early game. Can get you some currency easy. Another note I think is that Saffle's Frame might now be really good with this build. It's only going to give you 1% less maximum fire resist, but it's going to give you 4 to all resist. Right? 4 maximum to all resistances. So I think that Saffle's Frame may be pretty good for this RF build now. Obviously I haven't tested it or anything yet. But, you know, to start out with, I just had some rares. I found this 5-link through my gems in it. But yeah, even without this Doriani's and the Rise of the Phoenix, and the Shaper Seed. The Shaper Seed, though, I will say helped a lot with your regen. And of course you keep Purity of Fire up. I do have an Essence Worm that I have it in, so I'm not wasting all my mana. Because I am going Inquisitor, like I said. Inquisitor is going to be amazing. Instruments of Virtue, Augury of Pittance, Sanctify, and Pious Path for this build. And this is a Mind Over Matter build. And these nodes are going to 10% maximum mana, down from 12. This one's going to 30% maximum mana. But the big thing is it's going clear down to 40 maximum mana, which is a big hit. But, you know, I wish they would have left it at least at like 60 mana. Would have been a little better, I think. But I still don't think this is going to be too bad. I don't think it's going to hurt anything at all. Mind Over Matter and this node behind it is still going to be really good to take for damage mitigation. As you can see, I have a ton of mana. I even, in some situations, keep some Seething Mana pots, just in case I need to hit that up so I don't die. But yeah, I think this is going to be Inquisitor. I think Inquisitor, Slayer, Necro Summoner for Witch are all going to be amazing. Not much changes to Marauder. Marauder, Berserker, I think is still going to be somewhat good. I still like my Juggernaut, which I'm going to make a video later on my Sweet Marauder. So if you guys watch for that, this is a build I always have fun with, and I still think it's going to be great for starting a league if you want to just farm some currency and stuff. And note these are in softcore, but I do kind of play my builds like they're hardcore. I used to play nothing but hardcore. I said this a ton of times, but now my internet's so bad that I just can't play hardcore because I literally just die because of my internet. Another build that's really good, I think this was Sovereign's Lazy Pally build. This is another Inquisitor build, and I don't even think I have, like, I played this one very lazily, like it was a Lazy Paladin. I haven't even done Merciless Lab yet on this one, let alone Uber Lab, and I'm still destroying stuff with this build. Another thing to note, they said apparently some of these shield passives, we haven't seen the passive tree yet, but some of them are going to be getting some added physical damage perhaps. So I can't wait to see which nodes those are. That might be something that we could take with this build anyway. This build, if you don't know, is super max block and spell block. We use the Stone of Lazar, which isn't too hard to get at the start of a league. And bam, you got 50% block chance applied to spells, right? So you've got tons of block. I am using some high-end items on this character at the moment, but this just shows you, like, most of this stuff that I farmed, like, I either got the drops or I traded for currency for these drops in the Harbinger League, like starting off from pretty much zero zilch. So you can see a lot of this stuff is super easy to get. I got a Bringer of Rain, the Skava, got Lion Eye's Remorse, Meganor's Girdle, Ramirez's Banquet, and the Stone of Lazar. And that brings me to my next thing. Farming early game, you want builds that can do Uber Lab easy. Uber Lab's a great thing to farm for currency, and you can also, people will pay you to run the lab for them. Even Merciless Lab, people will pay you to run Merciless Lab for them. So that's something you can do with a lot of these builds pretty easily. And you can also farm normal Atziri to try to get the Atziri's Promise Flask, which they drop pretty frequently. And if you can do that, and most of these builds that I'm showcasing, you can do that, can do normal Atziri just fine. These go for a good amount at the start of a league because they're really popular flasks. So I'll show you. I'm probably going to be rolling Summoner. I don't have a Summoner to show you at the moment because I made a Summoner in the 10-day Mayhem event. Obviously it was voided, so the character's deleted. But Summoner is going to be amazing. I never played a Summoner before, so I decided that I was going to play one in the Abyss League long before we got any of these patch notes. And so I decided to go ahead and make one in the Mayhem League just to get a feel for the build, and I loved it. It was so fun. Some people say Summoners are boring. I thought it was really fun. So here's the thing that's going to make me think Summoners are going to be really amazing, even better than before. So Chris Wilson said in this post, this is a response to the 3.10 patch notes. From what I overhear in the office, the new Abyss Jewels are outrageously powerful for Summoners and can roll so much crazy shit. So play a Summoner, guys. Plain and simple. Play a Summoner. You can see that later on in 3.2 they're going to change some more ascendancies, which I feel they should change Assassin. They're changing, they say, Scion and Elementalist. I hope Assassin's on their list as well. And they also said they're going to release some patches that may help a little bit later on as well, so keep a watch for that stuff. But for the start of the league, I think the meta hasn't taken a big hit. A lot of the builds that were meta in 3.0 are still going to be just fine in 3.1. Maybe a couple of them took a little hit, but some of the builds that were meta were so powerful that even taking a hit like they did, they're still going to be amazing. So what you want to do when choosing a build is you come here to the forums, Path of Exile forums. Right, you just go to index. You can come down to the class build list, and I'll show you what to look for great league starters. For this league 3.1, I recommend staying away from this middle section, Ranger, Sign, and Shadow. I'm not saying that there's not good builds for them. I'm just saying that you're going to have, especially if you're a newer player, you're going to have a lot better time, I think, with Templar, Witch, Duelist, or Marauder. Particularly Marauder and Witch have been really good. I think Inquisitor is going to be really good still. But what you want to look for when you come to one of these, you're going to want to look for the actual build list, right? At the top, it's always pinned on each one of these. They leave a nice little build list for you. And you're going to want to look for stuff like right here, right off the bat, you can see recommended by GGG for beginner players, a budget build. This is a double strike build. A lot of other good things to look for is you're just going to want to look down through the list, and you can see like this one, all map mods, all maps, stupidly. Right? This is actually a War Chief Totem build. Anything that says like cheap, a lot of times people will put like right here, this is a Cyclone build, T15 on a budget. That means minimal gear investment, in-game viable, right? So this means with this build, without even looking at it, I can already tell that it should be super cheap to start out with, and with some currency investment, you're going to be able to push into the end game with this. Now, all builds that you start out on the league don't have to be builds that you can kill the Shaper and the Guardians with, unless that's what you want to do. But the main thing is going to be farming currency. So you want to push into those red maps and farm some currency, get a map pull up, and then maybe make a really expensive character from that currency that can do all the content, or you can just pick a build that's already in-game viable to do like the Shaper, the Guardian, Uber Atziri, stuff like that. So like right here's a Berserker, Shaper Farmer on a budget. Alright, but you want to make sure that none of them are using Volpact. Just to be on the safe side. There's a lot of builds that I don't think Volpact change is going to kill. But if you're a new player, you're probably going to want to stay away from those just in case. But yeah, like I said, anything that says budget, starter build, in-game viable on a budget. This one comes with a budget gearing video. Frostbolt, like I said, is going to be really good. I would probably go Inquisitor instead of Elementalist. I wouldn't recommend Elementalist. But anything in this block is probably going to be good. The Summoner block right here. Summon Raging Spirit. That's how I started my Summoner build. And here's a really good Spectre build that I might end up trying this build out because it's already fleshed out, or I may just make my own. I haven't decided yet. I'll let you guys know if I do make my own build, and maybe I'll make a little build guide on it. But here's a really good Spectre build that can do everything. You know, Shaper, Uber Atziri. And I started out with Summon Raging Spirits, and it was super OP. Like, I was just killing everything, and then I got the Spectres, and it was still just more the same. So yeah, some of the Raging Spirit builds, like this one, 0 budget build, self-found. Right, these are going to be really good builds for starting out the league. So that's just stuff to look for. Stuff that's clear speed focused is also good, but you want to make sure that they're cheap builds to play. Now, a lot of builds you'll notice you're like, oh my god, it has like these super expensive uniques. A lot of those super expensive uniques are to push in the end game. They're not for just farming currency and farming maps. A lot of times you can get a good way through maps without any uniques, just some rares and stuff. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, there's my take on it. Basically, the too long didn't read version is, if it was viable in 3.1 in the meta, it's probably going to be pretty good in 3.1. The changes aren't affecting that much. A lot of those builds that even took a hit are still going to be really good. I will probably make a Marauder video, just kind of showcasing it a little bit. It's not fleshed out yet. My sweet Marauder build isn't fully fleshed out. I may flesh it out before I make the video, but still, as the build is right now, it's great for a league starter. So I may make a build on that later. Keep an eye out for that. If there's anything you guys have questions about, make sure to leave them down in the comments. I'm pretty good about answering questions and checking my comments, so if you have any suggestions, anything like that, put them down in the comments, and I'll try my best to get to it. And if you like the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more Path of Exile videos, and I will see you guys later.